To Californians, the effect climate change has had on society in recent years is evident considering the long drought that lasted from 2012 to April 2017 and which we just got out of. This drought has had a particularly strenuous effect on commerce, especially agriculture, and also our water bills, which went up due to the little rain we had received. Because of this, the recent heavy rainstorms throughout California that brought us out of the drought were a welcome relief. However, while this recent and sudden heavy rain means those of us in California will be okay in terms of our water supply for a few years to come, this rain also brings with it its own set of challenges and hazards. In particular, the soil erosion and wildfire risk is exacerbated by the sudden change in the environment state from severe drought to heavy rain. Severe drought, heavy rain, and other extreme weather conditions are of course a key feature of global warming thanks to rising atmospheric CO2 levels. Two places where soil erosion and fire hazard risk has increased thanks to the transition between severe drought and heavy rainfall are the Big C Trail and the Mount Rubidoux hiking trail, both of which are popular among UC-Riverside student and Riverside residents alike. We continue our discussion of soil erosion and wildfire risk by first discussing the hike up to the Big C, which can normally be seen when one looks toward the Box Springs Mountain east of the UCR campus. The picture shown here is a normal view of the big letter C, but it has recently been harder to spot thanks to an increasing amount of weeds on the mountain and fading paint. As UC Riverside students should know, the Big C Trail is a short 5-minute walk from the east side of the UCR campus down Big Springs Road toward and past Goodwin's Organic Market. Just past the Newman Center, on the left-hand side, one encounters the following open field with a path through it. Continuing on through that path, one encounters the following train tracks with a newly built fence and a few openings one has to crawl under to make it to the beginning of the trail. As alluded to earlier, soil erosion and weeds thanks to the recent heavy rain can make the hike quite tricky. Because it rained so much, weeds grew out exponentially, covering up much of the paths up to the sea, leaving one to forge his or her way through a bunch of knee-high weeds like in the following picture. Of course, these weeds create a big fire hazard considering how much the Big C Trail is covered by them and how dried up they have become. But if it isn't weeds creating a nuisance for the hiker, every so often on the way up to the Big C, one encounters open trenches of varying sizes that make the walk up tricky at best and dangerous in some cases. These openings in the earth are because soil loses much of its nutrients and cohesion during a drought. This means that when a heavy rainstorm comes in, we get large amounts of soil erosion as shown in these pictures. After some strategic maneuvering up the trail, one finally reaches the big letter C. While somewhat of a challenge for the occasional hiker thanks to the knee-high weeds and eroded soil, it's all worth it for this view of Riverside and the serenity that goes along with sitting up there to take it all in. It's a much appreciated time away from the stresses of school. Another place with a similar phenomenon of eroded soil and trails covered up by weeds creating a fire hazard thanks to the recent heavy rainfall is Mount Rubidoux on the path right next to the Santa Ana riverbed off of Mission Boulevard in Riverside. In some cases, the eroded soil is so much that whole sections have to be blocked off and reconstructed. This is all so that water is better able to flow down the side of the mountain and so that people don't find themselves stuck in soil erosion inflicted hole like the following poor guy.